Take us inside that car for a second. Take us inside the helmet. What's the thought process of a driver when they do decide to get out of their vehicle on the track?
Well, you actually have to go back a little bit, Randy, into the incident. And so when a driver's wrecked and you feel like another competitor took something from you, it's adrenaline, it's spontaneous anger. You exit the car and you immediately, or you're dominated by wanting to confront that driver. And at that point, the 30, 45 seconds, you're really not in control. You know, it's about making your point and getting even.
What can NASCAR do at the nationwide level, at the Sprint Cup level? What steps can they take to ensure that this doesn't happen at that level? Because as you mentioned, and you've done it yourself in your career,
right,
we see drivers get out of their cars all the time. We saw the worst case scenario play out Saturday night. So what can NASCAR do to prevent that?
So we need to distinguish between NASCAR and this being a small track. Maybe an analogy would be like a high school level. Because this was not a NASCAR race and it wasn't a NASCAR sanctioned racetrack. So I say from the industry standpoint that the industry can learn from this. Number one, you must mandate that the drivers stay in their car unless it's on fire, unless there's an issue, a risk, a danger. Drivers stay in the car until the safety crew gets there. Now, we're actually reminded of that in the NASCAR series. That's part of the protocol. That's part of the safety meetings. But on a local level, I think that there needs to be an industry-wide standard and a movement. As tragic as this is, and you know, none of us can afford to lose sight of the loss of the weekend and Kevin Ward Jr., but we can also learn from it and use this as a catalyst for change and say, under no circumstances, the driver cannot leave the car if it's on the racetrack, because the driver is safest in the race car with his helmet on, with his fire-resistant uniform and gloves and shoes. He has this roll cage on him. A driver unstrapping and walking out onto the racetrack doesn't make sense, but it happens. I've done it. Tony Stewart's done it. And unfortunately, Kevin Ward Jr. did it. And, you know, it is certainly part of the equation and part of it that we can learn from.